So it's time for the playoffs, and surprise, surprise, there's one team missing that we are kind of used to seeing, which is CSK. But instead, we have three teams who've been largely good throughout the tournament, and a fairy tale story, a fairy tale comeback by RCB. So, Ayaz, let's get into qualifier one straight away. So, KKR take on Sunrisers at Ahmedabad. Now, both of these teams have redefined top order batting this season, especially Hyderabad more so. And first of all, how do you see them going in this match? And secondly, do you think, regardless of whether they win or lose or go on to win, lift the title, their style of play has been an indicator of what's to come in T20 cricket, especially the IPL?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the highlights of IPL 2024, the manner in which both these teams have gone out and batted, especially. I thought that the bigger surprise, if I might say that, was from Sunrisers Hyderabad because their track record wasn't so impressive. And we knew guys like Sunil Narayan and Andre Russell, to name just two, have always been known or renowned for their big hitting. And then they've got Phil Salt, who's an international player, accomplished. One was not sure how Travis Head would fare or Pat Cummins or even Heinrich Klaassen, though last season he had given some indication, and of course in the ODI World Cup. But Abhishek Sharma coming good, the way and the manner in which he has done, and his partnership with Travis Head, they just made everybody sit up and take notice and watch what Sunrisers Hyderabad are doing on the park. So this is going to be a battle between power hitters on either side. But I think somewhere where KKR, not somewhere, where certainly where KKR have an edge is in the bowling, in the spin department with Sunil Narayan, who's been the MVP so far of this tournament. And then there's Varun Chakrabarti. If Mitchell Stark gets going, then the bowling becomes formidable. I think that somewhere SRH don't have that depth in bowling. They've got Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Natarajan, Pat Cummins, which is a formidable lineup. Make no mistake. I think in the spin department, we are a little, behind KKR. But hey, this is the qualifier. The good thing is, when the way it's constructed, the IPL, in the playoffs, the losing team in the qualifier has one more opportunity to get into the final when they play the winner of the eliminator. So, but you want to be first up into the final. So this is a must-win, in a sense, a must-win match. They'll approach it like a must-win match, both teams, and then say, okay, if we don't get it this time, there is another chance. But they have to put their best foot forward here. And I think one of the things which might make a difference here and as well as in the eliminator. Remember, this is being played at the Narendra Modi Stadium, these matches. The ground's a little bigger than, say, Chennaswamy or Delhi, which means emphasis on fielding prowess, as well as how spinners fare. Because on smaller grounds, the spinners can get tonked out of the park fairly easily. Here, it might not be so easy. So that's where, again, a little bit of advantage for KKR. But I wouldn't put anything beyond SRH. I mean, if this turns out to be a kind of a six-hitting festival, we might see a score very close to 300, perhaps just a little beyond also, who knows?
Yeah, and also something working against SRH would be that Pat Cummins this side doesn't have a home crowd to silence like he did at the World Cup final. It's a neutral venue. Also, so for KKR, I think a couple of factors that might affect him is that they don't have the services of Phil Salt, who's gone back to England. So Ramanullah Gurbaz will most likely partner with Sunil Narayan. That's one. And the second thing is that they've had a longish gap. The last time they played was 10 days ago because two of the games were washed out. So how do you think that will affect them?
I mean, that could make a difference. Phil Salt will certainly make a difference because he was in such roaring form,
Yeah.
and he's at most of the English players have had to go back. So they will miss him, but they will hope that somebody like Shreyas Iyer really comes into his own. He's had, a couple of decent knocks, but not a great season. Venkatesh Iyer is another player who's had a couple of very, very good knocks, but they would want something special from these two Iyers going in, and more than them, I think, from Mitchell Stark because he had a poor run at the halfway stage. It seemed like too much money had been squandered on him. But then he's come back into his own. He's got wickets consistently since then. It's just the number of runs he concedes, which is a challenge for KKR to restrict, and of course for Mitchell Stark himself. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. On the face of it, it's very difficult to predict even otherwise in IPL because on paper most of the teams are so evenly matched. And then you're into the playoffs. So there's a completely different mindset and the determination or the intent will be very different from what we've seen in the earlier matches.
Yeah. So lastly, then we move on to the eliminator, which is again at the same venue. This time, Rajasthan take on RCB. So these two teams have had very contrasting campaigns, one might say. So Rajasthan were looking pretty, sitting at the top for most of the tournament until they started stumbling towards the back end. And RCB have won 6 on the trot to script one of the stories of the tournament. So how do you think form factors in?
Absolutely, the contrast is so, I mean, it's so evident, and therefore also could make a difference in this match. Rajasthan, right through the tournament, we've been singing praises of Rajasthan, but I've always been kind of, taking, putting it in perspective and saying, in many seasons in the past also, they've looked so good, and then approaching the playoffs, they just seem to kind of wane, they taper off, which is what has happened even this year. But I think they won 7 or 8 on the trot at the start, and then they started losing. And fortunately, they had won so many matches at the start, it gave them a buffer. And in complete contrast, RCB, who couldn't put a foot right, apart from winning one match, they lost 7 in the first 8, and then they won 6 on the trot. It's one of the amazing, astonishing turnarounds that we've seen. So the momentum is with RCB. On paper, if you ask me, the more talented side to me is still Rajasthan, even if Josh Butler isn't there. I think that Trent Bolt, Ashwin, Chahal, Sandeep Sharma, Shimran Hetmeyer, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Sanju Samson. I mean, this is a Riyan Parag, one of the stars of this IPL. Yeah. It's a formidable lineup. RCB, in contrast, the batting has come good. Virat Kohli is spearheading the batting, the thrust. Then Faf coming into zone, Cameron Green, the cameo roles of Maxwell and Dinesh Karthik coming to the good in the last match against CSK. I think the bowling is still little short. Mohammad Siraj not at his best. Somewhere in the spin department, not as competent certainly as what Rajasthan look. And yeah, but I mean, when you got that kind of momentum and you've turned things around, your frame of mind changes. And I think that's going to be the crucial factor in this match. The frame of mind in which Rajasthan find themselves now, and the frame of mind that RCB are in now. Remember the last over bowled by Yash Dayal. Ordinarily you would have thought that CSK would have won that match. Even if it meant scoring 20 runs in the last over 19, and with Dhoni and Jadeja there. But RCB won the match. And imagine the optimism and the robust ambition that they'll take the field in Ahmedabad tomorrow.
And we won't go into who shook hands with whom after that match. So yeah, so two big two big games coming up, and we'll get back to you after the first 2 games, and which will lead to more interesting games because the next 2 are in Chennai. So the spin factor comes in more there. So you would think KKR would have an advantage, even Rajasthan would have an advantage, and like you said, RCB might falter. I don't know. So, but the way they're going, you can never say. So yeah, so we'll get back to you after the first 2 games. And so that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Anjul. Thanks. Cheers.